This is Richard Bliss with CrowdFunding Beat. We're here at the Symposium of Crowdfunding at Berkeley campus. I'm here with two authors of the CrowdFunding Revolution, Dan Maroom and Kevin Lawton. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me.
Thank you. First of all, I must say that I'm really excited. This guy is a close friend. We wrote together the book by Skype and email. We live 20,000 miles from each other, and today it's the first time that we're meeting, so I'm very, very excited.
That is exciting. Kevin, where are you based out of?
I'm living in Silicon Valley these days.
Okay, and Dan, where are you located?
I live in Tel Aviv, in Israel, which is also in the Bay Area, let's say.
Different bay.
Different bay.
Okay, so you have co-wrote a book called The Crowdfunding Revolution, and this is McGraw-Hill is the publisher. What prompted or initiated this? Who kind of came to who for this idea?
Well, actually, interestingly, I was actually just blogging about various things. It sort of concluded in crowdfunding. And then Dan had approached me because he was kind of coming in from an academic angle about crowdfunding, and he wanted to write a book. And we just kind of got talking, and over time, the next thing you know, we were writing a book together.
Well, first of all, Kevin is a real... He set the trend, and he's responsible, in my humble opinion, for everything that's here in the Bay Area, and maybe even a global impact. So I'm still excited. I think that from my own perspective, research-wise, I think that we have an alternative entrepreneurial finance mechanism that could become viable, that could help gap between, we just presented a paper about gender. Maybe crowdfunding could help democratize and provide access to capital to additional populations and races, genders, etc. So I deeply believe that the crowdfunding revolution will have its impact in the next few years, creating jobs, creating prosperity, and I hope maybe even peace.
So everything comes in its time, and I'm wondering, if, from your opinions, if the very creation of the book and the crowdfunding movement isn't somehow based in the way that this book was created, the ability for people to come together, not limited by geographical distance, and to share ideas. Is that the essence or the dream of what crowdfunding is able to do now?
I think if you look at the backstory of us two just meeting today, it's more than that, really. I think it's just that the drive of crowdfunding is everywhere. And we just happen to be two people who are interacting specifically about this topic, but it could have been myself and somebody from Australia, or Dan and someone from Italy. There's people everywhere thinking these same thoughts, and I think that's what's really behind this.
Where do you see, with the book now, where do you see that crowdfunding is going to be? Is it really a vehicle for change?
Well, we wrote the book 3 years ago, and the industry went in a dramatic pace. So maybe it even was before of its timing. I was hoping that you were asking about that, because we were saying about the wisdom of crowd, about prediction markets, about all sorts of things that led into this kind of revolution, social media, of course. But I think that market education now is the key. And such events like this conference, and sharing data and educating not only entrepreneurs but also investors and policymakers, that's our major challenge in order to make this revolution come true.
There still is a lot of confusion, though, in the market and in the public in general of what crowdfunding is. How is that going to change? Kevin?
Well, I think that you have to go to each of the different crowds. Like, for example, a venture capitalist or an angel investor thinks something differently about crowdfunding, because to them it's probably more of an opportunity to do something different, or there's something different that they need to learn about, right? So for each of the crowds, you have to go out there and educate them what's most relevant in their territory. So for the people who use Kickstarter and do the kind of donation, perks-based, really they don't need an explanation, right? They already know, they use it, they're a part of that trend. But I think we need to go out and educate every kind of sphere. So whether they're a regulator, lawmaker, venture capitalist, whatever, maybe even really big private equity companies, we need to go around to each of them, and on their own turf, we need to explain it.
I totally agree.
Excellent answer. It must have been a lot of fun to write this. What were some of the challenges that you were faced with putting this book together? Because you're talking about so new, kind of ahead of the curve, not a lot of body of work to draw upon out there already. So what were some of the challenges that you were faced with?
Well, actually, this book was a journey. We started by self-publishing it, and then we got picked up by a publisher, a big publisher. It was a great honor to have our second edition also, which was elaborated, and we had additional how-to chapters. So it was also a journey that it developed with the CrowdFunding Revolution.
For me, I guess I don't really call it a challenge because I like doing this, but I read a lot. So I've read a lot in social media, trends, and economics, and you name it. The challenge is synthesizing that all together along with vision, because you're right, it was kind of early at that point, and so we had to sort of synthesize what's sort of the next logical things, what's going to happen, which parts need more looking at, and we even kind of laid down a roadmap in here about where probably a couple of years from now where there'll be app markets embedded in crowdfunding, investor dashboards, so like what professional investors will use but apply to crowdfunding. So there's even stuff in here that's still, I think, beyond where we are today. So it's really a synthesis issue.
Well, I certainly appreciate you taking a few minutes to sit down with us here at the Crowdfunding Symposium here at Berkeley. Any last words that you would say to our crowdfunding audience that's watching out there? What words would you say to them?
Go crowdfunding.
Go crowdfunding.
You've been listening to CrowdFund Beat here at Berkeley campus at the Crowdfunding Symposium. I'm Richard Bliss, been joined by Kevin Lawton and Dan Marome. And so I appreciate Dan and Kevin taking a few minutes to talk about their book, The Crowdfunding Revolution. Find it in your bookstore or on Amazon online now.